Hey, aloha everybody. Eric West here with hawaiirealestate.org. I hope you're doing well, staying safe in the midst of our new reality, but hopefully this will be over soon. Welcome to another edition of a neighborhood tour here on the beautiful island of Maui. I'd like to first and foremost welcome you to the channel if you're new. I'm all about teaching you everything you need to know about Hawaii and its real estate. And specifically here on the west side of Maui is where I live and I specialize. But my website, which you can find a link in the description, I'll put in later, is hawaiirealestate.org. And you can search for homes all over the state of Hawaii. So if you do need a referral to a good agent, I know of many. I'm with Elite Pacific, and we have great agents on every side of every island. So would certainly love to help you, put you in good hands. And of course, if you're ever in the market on Maui, whether it is to buy or sell, I'd love to help. So with that said, before we get started on the neighborhood tour, I wanted to just clear the air a little bit. So if you'll notice here, I've got this device around my neck right now. And so I just wanted to put it out there, what's going on here with this product. So by the way, the neighborhood I'm going to shoot in today is Launiupoko, which is a fantastic neighborhood on the west side of Maui. I haven't done a neighborhood tour here yet, but it was maybe 2 or 3 years ago. I used to live in this neighborhood for almost 3 years, and a good friend of mine, at the time he was someone I just met, but he started a company here on Maui, and I just am a big believer in supporting local business, right? And certainly entrepreneurs and people that are making things happen, because that's kind of the way I've always sort of viewed myself. Is I've always been an independent contractor kind of guy and started many businesses, and I just respect anybody that puts it out there. So this gentleman started this company called Jazzercise, and he said, "Hey Eric, I want you to try this product." And I was like, "All right, sounds good." So he gave me one, and I tried it. And before I started, he took a picture of my face, and then I was like, "That's kind of weird," and I did it, because I said I would. I like to work out. I go to the gym a lot, and so I did it for, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and then I ran into him again, and he goes, "Hey, I got to take your after picture," and I was like, "Okay." I didn't really think anything had really changed, but he'd been using this product for quite a while. So the wind is kicking up here, and I don't like wind noise on my mic. But at any rate, he showed me the pictures later, and I was like, "You got to be kidding me!" So he asked me if I'd be willing to shoot a testimonial video, so I did that. I didn't get paid for it, and here it is 2 or 3 years later, and his marketing company picked it up somehow in the annals of his hard drive. And they've been using it, so it's got like, I don't know, 400 million views or something crazy. So at any rate, I get a lot of people asking me about that, and I just thought I'd share it with you that I do love the product, I believe in it, and just like anything, if you exercise a muscle and you bring resistance to it, your body's going to respond and good things are going to happen. So whether it's a bicep, you lift something with a bicep, like a dumbbell or a curl bar, and you do that every week, eventually you'll get toned arms. If you didn't do it, you won't get toned arms. And the same thing goes with your face. He's just the first guy that invented something that's for your face. So in case you don't know what I'm talking about, it's this device called a Jazzercise. You put it in your mouth, you chew on it, and it works out your face, and it works. So anyway, I just want to put that out there. Sorry to take up 3 minutes talking about it, but thank you, Brandon, for making me kind of famous. I wasn't really looking for that, but I guess we all get our 15 minutes of fame one way or another. So let's get started with the neighborhood tour. Enough of me, and let's show you Launiupoko. So this is Launiupoko. It is located on the west side of Maui. Like I said, I lived here for about 3 years, and it's a fabulous spot. I'm going to talk about some of the things I loved about it and some of the maybe disadvantages of this neighborhood while I put on my helmet. Otherwise my kids will say, "Dad, you make us wear a helmet." And I don't want to have that conversation. So bear with me here while I buckle it. Okay, there we go. All right, now I'm safe. We're all staying safe these days, right? That's the whole idea. So Launiupoko is a neighborhood that was developed by a developer named Peter Martin. He's still very active in the development and the community, and a well-respected guy, in my opinion, and has done a fabulous job building one of the most premier neighborhoods in all of Hawaii. And so what makes this place special clearly is the views. Every single home and lot in this subdivision, and there's 3 of them, it's just got this most epic view of Lanai, basically dead center Molokai over to the right. And then, man, the wind is getting like crazy after I started shooting. Those are actually, it brings up a good point. You do get some trade wind activity as it sneaks through the center of the West Maui Mountains. I'm going to show you that here in a second once we get past this little hill. But the West Maui Mountains, you're sort of dead center behind the West Maui Mountains, but there's this gap. If you look at that gap right there, and so sometimes the trade winds get right through that gap and can make for some nice breezes, but generally speaking, it's not the breeziest location. It's, I don't know, it just doesn't get a ton of trade wind activity, so it's a warmer spot than, say, Kaanapali, but very, very, very good weather and beautiful views. The lot sizes here range from, you can buy a cottage that's been CPR'd. CPR stands for condominium partial regime, which is a type of a subdivision where the property keeps its TMK, which is Hawaiian for legal description. So the TMK, the legal description, doesn't change, but you're able to, quote unquote, subdivide your lot one time in a CPR and then sell off that smaller lot. And many times there's already a cottage on there. So those cottage lots can be, usually around an acre or two. And those cottages tend to go for around $1 million and change. The main house, we call it, would be the bigger home that's located on the larger portion of what did not get CPR'd. Those homes, I think, are averaging around 3 and change. Certainly brand new spec homes can be over 4, and of course there's your mega mansions that are much higher than that. But ultimately there's a lot of variety here in terms of the lots, the way they sort of are situated, and the privacy. There's just a lot of variation, is the best way to put it. Every home that's been built here is really a custom home that's unique, and there's just a lot of really amazing homes that have been built here in Launiupoko, and there's still lots that you can purchase and have your own home built custom. I actually have a few builders that I recommend if you're ever in the market to do something like that. But certainly it's a wonderful opportunity to build something that is exactly what you're looking for. And it's important to work with a good builder here on Maui that has been around for a while, is reputable, has got good relationships with his subs, and also isn't known for change ordering you and sort of driving up the price higher than what was originally anticipated. That's obviously the big disadvantage to building, is sometimes you learn the hard way that what you thought was going to be, $300 a square foot ends up being $500. But then that is, by the way, sort of the range for building here on Maui, the $500 a square foot. Can be done less, I suppose, but the builders that I work with, that's a fairly makes sense range. You always have to also consider, and if you're going to build a pool, that can be anywhere from $75,000 to $150,000 for a pool. And your site work. So your site work here is, putting in your driveway, your landscaping, sprinkler. You can build up your pad. There's a home that just went up here, is going up. I heard that they spent $1 million just in building up the pad itself because they wanted to get it to a certain elevation, and they actually drilled their own well. That's not necessary in Launiupoko because Launiupoko does have two distinct water systems. One is ag water, and the other one is potable. So it's got the lowest water rate in the state, and so it's very affordable water. And you have got the potable water at the lower rate, obviously, for sprinkling your garden and your trees, your fruit trees. And then you've got another rate for the potable water, which is obviously your drinking water. There have been some challenges in the neighborhood recently as it pertains to water. There was some sort of a lawsuit filed against them for using stream water that the Hawaiians considered theirs. And that was resolved, to the best of my knowledge, by Peter Martin putting in a bunch of wells, and piping up additional water from these wells to satisfy the demands of the neighborhood. at any rate, they still have a very, very good system for water, and the price per gallon, what I've been told by the gentleman that manages the water, is still the lowest in the entire state. So that's kind of cool, I think. Anyway, well, I'm going to turn around here and I'm going to kind of show you a different area of Launiupoko. I thought this is a really neat street to show you because obviously the views are fantastic. Sun's going down here and hopefully it'll be a spectacular sunset for you guys. But one thing that you'll really notice that I love about Launiupoko is the access to the ocean. So right down there we're looking at Launiupoko Beach Park. You really can't see it right now, but it's in that direction. And that is just a fantastic beach park. If you've ever been there, I'd love a thumbs up or a comment. It's one of my favorite places to surf, and it's just a really neat area. So when you live here, you know, every day is sort of a beach day because you're just a quick drive down to Launiupoko. So it's always nice to have that outdoor shower so you can wash the sand off your feet. But well, I used to live in the upcountry of Maui, and then I moved to Launiupoko after being in the upcountry, and it was really, really nice because all of a sudden I wasn't commuting to the ocean, and I was able to basically go in the water every day after work or in the morning before going to work. And it's just a fantastic lifestyle. Having access to the water is really, really nice. So one of the things you'll notice about Launiupoko is there's great separation between the lots. So you've got this sort of privacy factor, and you know, even when you're in your home, you've got these natural vegetation breaks. Everything grows in Hawaii, so you just have this very fantastic way to kind of protect your privacy. Sorry again about the wind. It's like it was dead calm before I started shooting, and boom. Oh yeah, hey, that brings me into a very good segue right here. This is one of the coolest things I love about Launiupoko is it's got this wonderful hiking trail that runs about the top third or the bottom third and just goes sort of straight across. So in the morning, if you're into exercising or walking, you have this wonderful little path that keeps you away from the cars and the traffic. And it's honestly, it's not used. I mean, people use it here, but it's not like, you know, I used to live in California, and man, you get up in the morning and go jog, and you know, it's like traffic. So here you just have this. You kind of have it all to yourself, and you do pass the occasional neighbor. But you know, hiking trails that are convenient and easy to get to on Maui are just, I don't know, there's just not many of them. So if you have something like this, it's such a great resource, and it's also nice. It's not super steep. You know, so some neighborhoods I've lived in, it's like everything is just too steep to go out and run and walk. You just kind of don't want to do it. So having this as just sort of this nice level, you know, walking or jogging area is really, really nice. So it is open to the public, so you can always come here if you want to check it out when you're, you know, here on vacation. You want to see what it's like. It's a really neat thing, actually. It's a beautiful, beautiful hike. Matter of fact, there is a hike where you can kind of go up in between the two mountains right there, and there's a small little water reservoir, and then you can go actually way back into the jungle, and you go from dry, Launiupoko is basically dry, to sort of a wet rainforest where you've got water, you know, falling on you in the middle of a hot day, and all of a sudden it's a rainforest back there. Matter of fact, this is the second rainiest spot on Earth, right back here, the West Maui Mountains. So that's kind of interesting. So a neighborhood that's located right downhill from the second rainiest spot on Earth shouldn't have any water issues, I wouldn't think. How's that? So yeah, so there's some beautiful homes just tucked in and around everywhere. So there's a average of anywhere from 15 to 20 homes, I would say, trade in Launiupoko every year. It's fairly active market. Obviously in these price points, they don't fly off the shelf because not everybody can afford homes in that price range, but they definitely are very consistent in how many sell every year, the average days on market, and the prices have been steadily sort of growing. What this current market, or the current market conditions or the world conditions are going to do to the real estate market here on Maui is anyone's guess, but I personally predict there's going to be a short-term softening. So certainly if you're in the market, I think there's nothing but opportunity, as sellers maybe have a little bit more motivation, and there could be some demand that drops, but I think we're going to see that mainly in the condominium market, just because there'll be less visitors coming to Maui for a period of time, which I think will affect vacation condos. Whereas homes on Maui for quite a while now have been very difficult to short-term rent, because they recently imposed a 5-year waiting period before you can apply for the license. And you also have areas where none of those licenses are available, and the county is also cracking down really hard on vacation rentals. So as a result, the good news is we're not as affected by a reduction in visitors here if you own a home, because you really aren't depending on that income anymore, because you're not renting it out short term. So with that said, I believe that it's going to be a resilient market. That's where I used to live, right there. Kind of miss it actually, but I'm loving Kaanapali right now. So yeah, contrast the difference between living in, say, Kaanapali versus Launiupoko. That's a question I get quite a bit. The biggest difference, I would say, is access to beaches is a little better in Kaanapali. Here you kind of have Launiupoko and that's it, whereas when you live up in Kaanapali, you've got access to all the beaches in West Maui because they're close. You'll kind of figure out when you live in Hawaii that you kind of stick pretty close. You're like a gerbil, kind of in a little cage. You don't tend to go too far from the water bottle and the food. You're just sort of in your little world, and you don't travel that much. Maybe in the beginning you will, but eventually you just kind of settle in, and your odds of going to the beach are the one that's closest to you. So being up in Kaanapali, you've got access to just better beaches. And they're better swimming beaches because there's less rocks and coral, whereas Launiupoko is kind of a little more of a surfer's beach, if you will. Boy, that sunset's really shaping up nice. Some beautiful horses there. And so also the weather pattern, you do get more sort of trade wind activity. Kaanapali, the nights are a little cooler. Launiupoko can be a little hot in the summer. We kind of ran the AC every day in the summer, whereas in Kaanapali that you might not have to do that, although this last summer it was quite hot. So here's a nice little park. I think here I'll go up the main drag, which is Kaiheliku, which is the sort of the main artery that feeds up into Launiupoko. I'll just cruise up there for a bit. Hopefully we still have a good connection. I checked the 4G, it looked pretty good. I'll try to keep the microphone somewhat out of the wind. And we'll just go down one more street and then we'll call it a... Oh, okay, there's one disadvantage. There's lots of roosters in this neighborhood. You might spend a year chasing that one down that wakes you up at 3 a.m. every day. Because it is legal to kill a chicken, I don't care what anybody says. So I have yet to hear a chicken in Kaanapali. But this is, it's an agricultural neighborhood. So the whole idea behind Launiupoko is you've got this opportunity to own a little farm, if you will, and keep your taxes low and keep ag status going and sell your fruit down at the farmer's market every Saturday. All right, we need to get back up to that sunset view here pretty quick. I'm going to turn here on a Vaiku. There we go, Kaiheliku and a Vaiku. Give you a little feel for the streetscape here. So you'll notice this little four-wheeler coming up here. It's a pretty common sight. Four-wheeler. You can ride that thing down to Launiupoko. Put your surfboards on top and have a day at the beach and ride it back home. And you might have 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 acres to drive it around on. The largest lots here are 40 acres. I just sold a home on 43 acres to a client of mine. And it's crazy. We got like two-track dirt road, you know, that we can ride the four-wheeler on, and it's just amazing. So that's probably my favorite thing about Launiupoko. It's a little more the country lifestyle. We just passed a very famous actress home right there. I won't say who it is.
Bizarre looking from a long distance. Not having good eyes.
Man, you guys are serious. I love it.
Gotta keep them trained.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, all the gyms are closed. Gotta do what you gotta do. There's actually a lot of famous people that live on Maui. We kind of let them just leave them alone, I guess is the best way to put it. You know, I've run into a number of them. I won't name drop, but you know, you just kind of wave and help them with whatever they're doing. If they need a hand, move on down the road. Just treat them like any other human. That's why they like coming to Hawaii, is a little break from the starstruck factor. Alright, we're going to get back to that sunset here in a minute. Maybe not. One of the reasons I like doing these neighborhood tours is it just really, you know, it's sort of like you're driving around in a real estate agent's car without sitting in a real estate agent's car, and you can get a feel for the neighborhood. Because if you're truly thinking about buying something somewhere, if you're like me, I mean, I research it more than anybody, really. I kind of sometimes am telling the real estate agent what's going on. I'm not saying anything bad about real estate agents, but you know, when I'm buying something, I really want to get into the nitty-gritty details of what is going on. And so a video that shows this kind of information is something that I would be interested in if I was interested in maybe living somewhere and spending a few $1 million. You know, the marketing photos, they never really tell the whole tale, do they? That's why my slogan is everything you really need to know, but you can't find in the listing. Because you see the listing and then you go, okay, now we need to find out what's really going on. You know, go kick the tires on everything. All right, we're gonna get back down for the sunset here. Sorry again for the wind. Of course, I can't control it, but man, it was perfectly dead calm when I started this, and then the wind kicked in almost the moment I turned the camera on. All right, we're gonna head back down to Vaiku here. A good feel of what the views are like. If you just look at that right there, imagine completely unobstructed from your bedroom. You lift your pillow off your head, all you see is ocean. guys are crazy. I mean, I like to work out, but that's insanity.
Did you go all the way up there?
No, but I will. And some of these are approved. You can see that. That's the McKenna Aloha Cottage. So that one is an approved short-term vacation rental home. And there are some. There are some that went through the process and have it approved. The thing to keep in mind, though, is that they don't transfer with sale. So if you buy a home here that is an approved vacation rental, you have to go through the whole process of getting that license again. It's not, it doesn't transfer. They don't make it easy. All right, we'll get back over here to Kaiheliku and drop down. Catch the tail end of the sunset. So just to get you orientated here, straight down here is the roundabout. So when you first come up from the bypass, you hit that roundabout right there. If you don't turn off the roundabout, you end up on Kaiheliku. Or you can obviously go north to hit the rest of the subdivision. And then this street branches off to a whole other section of the subdivision. That dead ends actually. So here's some public parking for the nature trail. It goes off that direction as well. But that's where you can park. And here's some of the lower lots. There is a development going in at the bottom, which are these ocean front lots. Quasi ocean front, you still have the highway down there. And supposedly some affordable housing that's going to get approved here shortly. I mean workforce housing. They don't call it affordable anymore. Because let's face it, it's not really affordable. But it is still a good deal. If you can get your name in the lottery and get approved, or win the lottery and you are approved, you haven't purchased a home in the past, first time home buyer, and you fit within certain income requirements, you can get a workforce house. Beautiful sunset. Well, with that, I think I'm going to go ahead and sign off. If you've hung in there this whole time, I appreciate it. It's a big neighborhood. I didn't touch a quarter of it, but it's been fun. Thanks again for watching. If you've enjoyed the video, make sure I don't crash. I'd love a thumbs up, subscribe, hit me in the comments section if you have any questions, and certainly if you're ever in the market, I'd love to help. And hope everyone's staying safe. And don't forget to book those airline tickets while they're still cheap for after all of this is over. All right, hope you're doing well. Aloha from Maui. Take care.